Okay, so I'm still in Argentina, and you might ask, why would you go there? And the reason, if you guys have listened to any of my videos, I'm just renting a studio apartment here right now. I've got to go visit the coast and going to a southern part of the country in a few weeks, and then potentially back out to the coast again on a different part. So it's been very cool just to be able to see a different country, and it's opposite seasons here, so it's still kind of like summertime, and it's going into the fall. But the reason to come here, I think, for me is it's like an opportunity that a lot of people don't really take advantage of. If you have, I'm from the United States, but if you had like a great job there or a great existence in the U.S., then obviously it wouldn't really make sense for you to leave that, because you wouldn't want to throw that away or give up making $300,000 a year or $250,000 a year, because it might be hard to replace that. I looked at my situation and said, I'm still relatively young, and if I keep getting older and I don't do something like this, I might not ever do it. And then maybe your job changes or your responsibilities change, and you just never do it. So I had never been out of the country up until the time I was like 28 years old. So coming here and staying here for a long period of time is not really in my nature to do. But for me, it just, it was like an opportunity that I really wanted to do and experience something different, and I'm happy I did it. You really only do live once, and if you get a little bit older, you start to really realize that your family, maybe you have people that pass away, or friends, or people that just get unfortunate accidents or health reasons. So even if they wanted to do stuff, they couldn't, right? They're physically not able to do it. And like I said, in the U.S., fortunately, if you save up a little bit of money in the U.S., you can live pretty decently down here. $2,000 a month probably here gets you just about everything you need, and you can live decently. This is just a small studio, like I've said. It's in Buenos Aires. It's probably $1,000 a month, but if you go to a different place that's not so much in the city, you could probably pay, maybe even 50% less, $500-$600 a month. Probably you could get a decent something okay that you could live in. So from a cost perspective, it's not high. If you have the privilege of being born in a country where you could work and save up some amount of money, then it's not that big of a deal. You could come here and you don't have to work for a while, or you could live off savings for a while here. The U.S. also is just so expensive, right? If you're like, I'm from Seattle, and if you guys have watched any of my videos, you know that making over $100,000 in Seattle it doesn't really do much for you. You can't really afford to buy your own place or really like start your life, because it's just not enough money for the area. And I think that's a lot of places in the U.S. that they're just too expensive for what the incomes are. That's the same here in Argentina. I mean, if you work here in Argentina and you have a normal job, it's going to be pretty hard for you to really afford anything. So for me, it's like, hey, if you want to have a better quality of life and you don't have to worry about spending too much money and you can just enjoy being here, it made a lot of sense for me. I wasn't leaving a job that paid like incredibly well. I feel like it's something that I could pretty much go back to, or a similar type job, in terms of making $100,000 a year in a big city, right? Obviously, if you live more in like a rural area, you might not make $100,000 a year if you're just doing more of a normal type job. But if you live in Seattle or Los Angeles or San Francisco or Miami or New York or Boston or any of those bigger cities, And if you're college educated and you're working every day and you're doing something where you're adding value, you're probably going to be making $100,000, if not more. So it goes a lot farther here, in South America or in other countries than it does there. So for me, it just made a lot of sense. I don't think I'm losing a lot by coming here, and it's a once in a lifetime experience to go to a different country and actually spend time there as if you're living there. And like I said, I feel I could still go back if that's what I want to do, to the US and work there and get a job and save up money and do that, right? Because that option's pretty much always going to be there as long as you're willing to work. But doing something like this, like I said, if you're older or you just don't have the health anymore to do something like this, then you'll just never do it. And so for me, I'm happy I've done it. I'm here. It's obviously it's a lot different, but it's kind of like being reborn, because everything's different and your sense of comfort and normalcy is changing, or is completely changed. You're in a different environment, different language, different country, different customs, different food, different everything. So it definitely changes you a little bit, because it puts you outside of your comfort zone like every day, and you just have to adapt to that. So that's what I would say. I mean, it's just something I would recommend to people if you've never done it. You could. I know Asia is affordable, or Southeast Asia, and South America, depending on where you're going. I think pretty much most of it is, if you have some savings and you have a desire to want to just have a different experience, I think for probably about $2,000 a month, you could, rent someplace, an Airbnb. You could still afford to travel around and have fun, and really, it's more of just something you'll never forget. If you worked 6 months and you made a little bit more money, when you're older, you won't remember that as much as you remember traveling to South America, or traveling to Argentina or Brazil or Vietnam or Indonesia, or wherever you want to go, right? That's going to be a memory that really is worth more than any amount of money, because if you can't do anything, money doesn't really matter, right? You have to have the health and the willpower to want to go do something. There's plenty of people that have a ton of money and they're just miserable, right? So money's not really it helps you do things, but it's not necessarily the key to happiness. So anyways, I'm getting philosophical now, but still in Argentina. That's the balcony right there. It's still like 80 degrees out. I'm enjoying it. And if you guys have any questions or anything, let me know. And you can subscribe. Take care. See you in the next one.